Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new, enhanced, tuned, and equipped with Nitro Boost Serbian Corner with completely new segments that will show you how a Serbian that has never been to Colorado, and that would be me, views the rectangle state on the Rocky Mountains. You can also expect some nuggets in general NBA trivia games and much, much more. My name is Miroslav, and I'm joined, as always, by Voja. Voja, how is Nebraska weather treating you this week?
It's good. They turned on heating, so that's how it's treating me. It's it should be fun for fishing later though, so I'm hoping to get that in after we're done.
As we are recording this, Serbian women's volleyball team is playing the final game of the World Cup, right? And they're beating their opponents 2-0. So if you're not watching that, thank you for hanging with us. And we will start right now with our first segment called the Mile High Positivity. It is a segment about what we were the most high or optimistic about last week. And again, we're not legally allowed to get high in Serbia or Nebraska, so this is just a figure of speech.
Yep.
My mile high positivity of the week will be the Nuggets beating the fully armed and operational battle station that is the Phoenix Suns without Nikola, Jamal, Aaron Gordon, KCP, and with Michael Porter shooting like prime Ben Wallace. The reason I like this game is the fact that the second unit guys, but especially the third stringers like Ish Smith, Christian Brown, and Vlatko Čančar showed a lot of heart and confirmed that what I was talking a couple of weeks ago, that the Nuggets really have a lot of very good individual pieces that they can use throughout the season if they're put into position of success. I promise this is not me being a basketball hipster. I truly believe in most of the 16 guys Denver has available for the upcoming season. Voja, you spoke last week about Bruce Brown and his amazing fit on the Nuggets, and he continued that through, especially through this second week, where we started with 0-2, 2 losses in the first week, and now 3 wins in second week. We cannot be higher on the team right now, right?
Yep. I mean, I had him. That's funny because that's the funny things. I had him first before. I had him number 1 seed in the NBA. I might have him now like over 60 wins if we're gonna overhype it, because I had a 57. So like that was my prediction. So maybe like 3 more. Who knows? Ish Smith maybe bring in 3 more. What do you think?
Yeah, it's 3 wins and maybe 1 more. Come on, they only went 3-2 in preseason, so let's go to 58. 58. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of I think it's poetic for them not to beat their best historic record that was 58 games back in the time. So if they just do it like one more time, that was just poetic. Not beating it, even though they could.
Yeah, that's bottom line. I'm high on them. You're talking. Yeah, you said Bruce Brown. He showed why I was high. Well, I was happy about seeing him play, but now even with the starters, it's even cooler. So yeah, the guys talked about it this week about they have to find minutes for him in the starting lineup. I agree. That again, like Ish Smith, it's just like doing the Chris Paul thing. Bones Hyland now backing down from the main guys, because Bones started that game because Jamal didn't play. It was, man, it's great. It's kind of funny because this preseason is weird, not just for Nuggets, like just the rest of the NBA. People have been like hyped to play. I guess maybe there was like the longest off season in for the last 3 years. So a lot of teams like were trying to win these games. Like yesterday, like Warriors, the first half, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like this feels like a regular season game, and it's not supposed to be. Like the crowd is in it. Like the lineups are like all like rotational almost for the regular season. So it was really crazy to see in that environment, like Nuggets with Jokic still treating it as the preseason. Like he was the only one that's like probably looking around like the Travolta meme, like what's happening? Like we're supposed to be like practicing. This is like a friendly game, and everyone's like going hard. Like technical fouls are being called. Like Gordon's like going into Draymond Green, just like flexing and stuff. Like it was just funny. But yeah, it's really. I mean, we can't be higher, and that's Miroslav was saying that right before we did the Nuggets Serbia. show, he was saying this is like the best moment of the season because like for every team, because everyone's kind of, well, maybe not every, but like all the top contenders like are like, hey, we can win this thing, and there's so many reasons why, and it's like the Schrodinger or like the lottery ticket when like this is the winning one, and then you start scratching and you're like, well, maybe it's not, but we'll get to that during the season. Who knows? Hopefully, this one will be winning.
Yeah, it really feels like everybody is so optimistic except for the Lakers, I guess.
Yeah,
But we'll
they're
see.
always
It's
they're always delusional. They think they're gonna get traded like with get something for nothing always. So they always do get something for nothing. So we can't. They're
yeah,
always optimistic anyway. So
yeah. I tend to listen to really smart Lakers fans, and they're not so optimistic. So I'm at least enjoying the moment. Okay,
yeah,
what would you say? What was your mile high optimism of the week?
it was just listening to the ESPN broadcast yesterday, and I tweeted out like it reminded me why I watch games on mute, and which I really corrected after the first half because I started reading. Like a few years ago, I did like reading books while watching NBA games, like when I was where I wasn't following any team in particular. So whatever was on ESPN during college, I would like read a book, watch in the background, kind of because there's so many commercials, like 3 hours. I'm not sitting watching Flow with Progressive do like 300 commercials in one game. So I was like, okay, I'm reading Game of Thrones. I'm gonna put on a Nuggets preseason. I have to follow that closely. I can just like be in and out. It was so annoying. Like Richard Jefferson, think like I think Ryan Rucco or what his name is. They were like pretty much like giving it to the Warriors like the whole season, just like, oh, they're the best, talented Kuminga, Wiseman, and they did play well, but it was just like, come on, guys, like Jokic hasn't turned it on at all, and you're talking about Wiseman's giving it to him, and like Kuminga, they're like all flow in. To credit to Warriors, yes, they have obviously like they have the the recharge or reload of their respawn of their teams, but come on, it was still the preseason, and it was and then the best thing for me was the second half. Then we with the same lineups, we go 40, is it 42-20, was 44-20, it's one of
That's
those
right.
in the third quarter, and just like destroyed him, and you're like, okay, now
So
what?
what
Like,
now?
yeah, because there were it was like Warriors got up to 8 or 9 points, and they're like, well, clearly the Warriors have the best talent group in the NBA. Them, and it's a big empty spot, and then it's everyone else. And Nuggets are one of them after like 3 or 4 teams that they listed. I'm like, again, it's preseason, chill. And of course, Jokic turned it on by like he literally got from neutral to first gear, and the
Yeah.
game's tied. And it was just that's what motivated me because I'm like, I wasn't sure like if Jokic is rusty, if it's just preseason, he has the wrist thing, like what's going on, is he just not we've seen situations when FIBA competitions kind of ruin your rhythm, and the beginning of the season you're kind of off, and it was just like, no, you actually just treated it as it should be, like a preseason, not go nuts like everyone else was. So yeah, that was I was really excited, and I see the comments, people were asking like what our opinion is from last night. So either
Yeah, yeah.
two birds, one stone, kind of.
In his first two preseason games, he had zero made field goals, and I was actually looking at the last, All NBA guy that finished the preseason with zero field goal mades, and
Couldn't
unfortunately,
find it.
he actually made some pretty good baskets
Yeah,
last night. So, what you gonna do? I was really mad looking at Kuminga and Wiseman because these guys are really, really good potentials. I mean, they're already pretty good players, and they have the potential to be really, really good players. And it sucks. It sucks because Golden State folded for 2 seasons completely when
yeah,
they lost Clay, and they just say, "Okay, we have an injury to Steph, and what's the point of bringing him back? So we'll just destroy
yeah.
two seasons of
Punt
ours,
on the
punt
season. Yeah.
completely." And
Well, no, that's the thing is like that was funny because the one they punted, the second one they tried, they just weren't good,
yeah, yeah,
and then
that's
and
true.
then it turned out to be a lottery. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, they had too many injuries to Draymond, and I guess so. The Nuggets are kind of punished for being too good last year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They could
Yeah.
have punted. They could have got like one of the top 5 guys from this draft that was pretty good.
Yep.
So it's an honorable thing to do, mainly from Nikola Jokic and uh, um, Michael Malone, but also all the other guys who made good, valiant effort last season. And it's really, this is something I have against NBA, not the Warriors. Warriors are just playing the system,
Yeah.
and that's that. So it really sucks when I see Wiseman, who's like with 7 feet 6 inches wingspan, with some pretty cool basketball moves. F that, man. I
It
hate to
is.
see
Well,
that.
but also they got, so the salary cap bump will always like go back to that in 2016. So the one pick that Warriors have was, they were bad, and then there's one other ones were from Minnesota trade, which was basically like all around, like it was Durant they got for free, so they traded him for Russell, and then got Russell for Wiggins and got a pick from Minnesota. It was just like a all circumstance from Durant also wanting to sign and trade, not just leave. And give him that, but then it was funny. Like that's the things, you're right. Like it's a system, and you can't complain too much. Like it is what it is. Everyone does it that has a chance. Funny thing was one that Jokic was like that good to drag this team better, and that's why it was funny that they're like still disputing his MVP. And the second thing what was funny yesterday was so much praise for the GM for the Warriors. Like they were in the lottery for 2 years. They had 2 top 10 picks, and they also skipped on Franz Wagner like in that 1 year, and then also got Wiseman when they had like other players that were also played more than he has so far. And again, Moody is also good, but like he could be decent for them, but like all the guys around them were like much better at this point. And it was just funny, just like so much praise for like, yeah, they're so pulled out, like the organizations run so well, you have so much talent. It's like, yeah, again, like you can't really like forget that they were in the lottery for 2 years. Like, of course, they have top 10 talent, like 3 of them. Like that's how it works. Like it's the lottery. So it was just funny. Like, of course, the one thing, like, which is again, we talk about the discourse of basketball. The one thing they should have said was, hey, how they are adapting them. What Adam basically said, I think yesterday, was talking about is like how they're adapting them to their system, even though they're so young. Like Kuminga at one point, I was like, is that Kuminga or Draymond was like running around? Like I wasn't sure because at one point, like, am I watching like, oh, it was a big dunk? So I'm like, oh, okay, it's not Draymond. It's like someone's running from the baseline. It was like a quick sub. Like that's their achievement, is making these guys fit into that very complicated, complex system that they win titles with. Not that they drafted them. Of course, they drafted them. They were high picks. So that's why I'm like, it's so weird to me. Like they just want to be like clickbaity, like even announcers, like they want to say like things that they're gonna get clipped out of. Like, yeah, he said it. Like it's so weird. But the fact that we beat him easily, and then our third stringers come in and then just bring up the the point differential to 20. You're like, okay, who has the deeper team now? Like I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And so that's like
throughout
again,
throughout the first half, we're listening about the
the deep
deepest,
team, yeah.
deepest
And then
Warriors
it's like,
team ever.
yeah, it's like Zeke, Vlatko, Christian Brown just come in and like obviously, and then Ish Smith is the third string. He has to play because there's no one else to play on the point guard on that. And he's there, and you're like, okay, so what now? Like he's our 11th guy maybe, or probably should be 10th or 9th. But like again, we have 12, and it's like that's the biggest positivity of all this.
Listen, I don't blame RJ too much. It's obvious he doesn't watch Nuggets a lot because he has no idea about the depth of the Nuggets. At one point, he even said that Michael Porter is such a great talent because he can shoot, he can dribble, and he can pass. And I was like, what? Dribble?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Michael Porter, but that's not his game. We don't
exactly.
need him to dribble. We need him to be the super Klay Thompson, and that's completely fine. And that brings us to another point. You guys should see me writing the show every week. I'm like a madman because it takes 7 days between 2 shows. So I rewrite the show like 3 times every time. After every game, I have some big opinions about the team, and then next game is completely different and I scrap everything. So just so you know, after the Phoenix game, I wanted to have a meeting, a mountain lion at the front porch, So we could talk about the obvious dissonance between the two Michaels, Michael Malone and Michael Porter, because we all remember the MPJ calling out the coach in his rookie season in the middle of the playoffs. And we saw him again speaking out to the press about the need for him to play more minutes with Bones, since he's the guy that gets him. And, after that, they had a Phoenix game and Michael shot like 2 of 11 playing his game. So, okay, that's all water under the bridge, because Porter has had 2 great games since then, playing both the 2-man game with Jokic very well, but also completely in the flow of offense. Both Clippers and Warriors games showed how much better it was for the team to have a fully bought-in Michael Porter with Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon. By the way, Aaron Gordon is playing his ass off, man. He's really hustling. I love his like offensive glass eating this preseason. It looks amazing. Also, Bruce Brown, KCP, they were all playing on a string together. Do you maybe have some kind of a meeting a mountain lion on the front porch for this week, or was it too positive?
I mean, it probably was positive. I don't think so. I think I don't have it, because I'm trying to think of what players maybe were disappointed, but like nothing. Maybe if you want, are we doing that right now? Maybe I'll have it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's stay on the point about Michael Porter and his playing well with the starters. What did you like the most about his game last night, and for the 2 last games actually?
Well, so I would even say, so I was that was really, because Brendan was talking about that we were texting during the Phoenix game even, and everyone, I wasn't like, I'm not drawing too many big conclusions from these games, and hence why I'm not watching like every possession like intently and like trying to break, because again I'm watching more like in like, hey, what's kind of how it's meandering through the game, and picking out like different things that I can see. The one that was like Michael Porter was the effort for me. Even the Phoenix game wasn't shooting well, and he was basically like all of a sudden now like I think he's still trying to like keep afloat in all this, because he's supposed to be the third option, but he was always used to being the first one, and he's just like, what should I do? And I don't think there's any like mental of like, hey, I'm not happy here, I don't want to do this. It's like, hey, I want to win, I want to be better and best, just have to figure it out how. And again, maybe also communication between him and team, and like how to do it, because I gotta give a shout out to Alec every time Jokic doesn't play and MPJ goes off, and it's like he tweets like, what happens when there's no Jokic to like basically like roll his eyes at MPJ at every shot he takes. And we talked about what if he changes that, and he just basically gives Michael some leeway and relax him a little bit. What that game was too, I think was like no one was playing, so just like, hey, Michael, he's got to basically shoot, and that we've seen like what would have happened if Jokic and Murray were hurt and it was only MPJ left for the last season. We would have been not good in that way. But I still like the effort. He was cutting. Like I think he was trying to get offensive rebounds. He was getting some on defense. He wasn't, again, in that game in Chicago I was talking about last week. He was staying in front of guys. It's just that, again, those shots 2 of 11, but like in what? First of all, it happens. Like it's not 2 of 11 is not. It's not 2 of 20. That would have been even more worrisome. 2 of 11 is fine. And just how he was surrounded with which players. Of course, the next game Jokic comes back, and again, this is something like I'm really happy to see, because this is similar to what happened last season. That we've seen this progress. It's not, people are still trapped, I think, and we can fall into that trap too, is thinking how he was rookie season, bubble, like when he was exposed by, like since then he's improved a lot. Like in that first season post bubble when Jamal got hurt, by the end of the season, remember the Portland games, like it's not that clear cut like with him. It's not just like, oh, he's either really good or terrible. I think there's still room for him, even if he's not shooting well or it's not his night in that way, like that he can make up some of this stuff. And I believe that he can and will play like that. Because again, yesterday he was holding his own against the Warriors team. There wasn't a situation in the game in the first half, even when the Warriors were going on around being like, oh man, MPJ, what are you doing? There were some late rotations. He had one that was like he maybe should have covered. But again, in the corner, there's a clear-cut great shooter. So at that point, like depending on the game plan, because we don't know the game plan, was he told to just shadow a shooter and then not to worry about the back? And then when so all of a sudden there's a layup, like he's at fault because he didn't help. So like some of that stuff we don't know how they're like giving roles into in their defenses. So I'm really excited. Like obviously the shooting again, it's heaven. Like I was joking, tweeted last week. I was like, I don't need drugs. I just have him shooting. Like that's only high that I need in my life because it's incredible. I mean, we've forgotten how good it is when he shoots over people, and you think it's a bad shot, and it's really not because he doesn't even see the defenders. It's awesome. I mean, I can't get hyped enough even for him this time. Like that's why I'm wearing the Showtime. Like that's this.
I mean, kudos to him for running in the transition, which is really important because in transition you usually get on the wrong defender, switched on the wrong defender, and he can just shoot over. I mean, he can shoot over almost anybody, but especially if he's met by a guard on the other team, it's just roast chicken for him. So that's awesome. Even if those kind of possessions doesn't look like possessions in flow of offense, he is such a walking mismatch. It's just you just don't care. And even with Aaron Gordon is also very big for any guard if he gets isolated against.
Yeah.
So that's really good, and especially this starting lineup without Jamal, with Bruce Brown in starting five. I mean, Bruce Brown is like 6'4", but he plays like he's 6'7". He's so strong.
You don't notice height with him. Like
you have no idea. He's only 6'4", and he's so lightning fast. So I really like that because team looked really physically dominant, which you always love to see, and that's obviously your escape ticket in case you don't have a great shooting night. You can still run over teams by just being bigger than them and stronger, and everything in that regard. So
Ray said less hesitation on his open shots is nice. Exactly. I think they might have. I don't know if they had a conversation with him. They're like, just let it rip. Like again, because his contested shots aren't really contested shots. If the guy's like helping off by half a step, it's over. I was joking too. Like I was watching the game and I was laughing at myself. Like, please just help off of MPJ, because there was a play that just completely left him open to like help inside in the paint, and ball was kicked out, and you're like, oh, that's it. Like, there's still, again, it's weird because there's not a player yet except him on this team that you're like, oh, I expect every shot that is open to make it. Because sometimes like, hey, maybe he's open, like, corner three, KCP, or like when it was Gary, Barton, like he can get on a roll, but sometimes it's just one shot. MPJ is like, oh, I expect this. Like, oh, he pump fakes, it goes into a mid-ranger. That's it. And if he can do that with like maybe one or two bad shots, like maybe post ups that he flips around and stuff, like who cares? Like everyone has a terrible shot, like everyone has a bad decision once in a while. But like if he just does what he does and lets it rip as soon as he has any extra room, like I wouldn't roll. Like that's what I'm saying. Like Jokic shouldn't, and I hope he doesn't roll his eyes, even if he's like looks like contested. First pass, boom, open, like that's over. It's so exciting. Like, I love shooters.
Jokic has been looking for MPJ a lot for these two last matches, and that's really nice. And last week we spoke about quote unquote most Serbian and least Serbian players on the Nuggets, saying that Michael Porter is the definition of not a Serbian player. But man, it doesn't
matter. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I mean, if he just do what he's supposed to do in first 20 seconds of the possession, and the ball will find him anyway. But even if it doesn't, he still has those like 4 seconds. Just give the ball to him, and he'll do a contested
contested
rolling shot, and he'll still probably make it 45% of the time.
So you know what the little difference there is? What you said, like Jokic is looking for him. I'm not even sure like if it's like, oh, let's find MPJ per se. I think it's more just because now he's like technically playing on a three. That now he's in Will Barton's position, and KCP's not Will Barton, as in he doesn't need the ball to be most effective in pick and roll and playing with Jokic. So technically now Jamal is, when he comes back, or Bruce, when they're playing point guard, they're doing that point guard roles. But then MPJ is the one that is with Jokic handoffs, shoots off. Basically, it's like he's doing, for me at least, like what I'm seeing right now is the amalgamation between Gary Harris and Will Barton style. Because obviously Barton was I need to dribble, or not I need to, but it's like the most effective when he dribbles and does his thing. With Harry, it was like, oh, quick handoff, I'm quickly rising. So it's like MPJ is kind of similar because like he's not there. I think with like his footwork, what Gary was when it was in the best years of Gary, when he gets the ball and he's ready immediately. Michael Porter maybe like I almost feel that he's gonna make the shot completely when he has the weird like handoff and then maybe one side dribble and then he shoots. Or like side inside, like gets the ball and like one dribble inside around Jokic and basically pulls up over Jokic and his defender and Jokic's defender. Like so it's kind of there, but that's why I think it's just the style of the lineup that it is right now. Because again, KCP doesn't need the ball like that, and he also doesn't have still timing with Jokic as much as MPJ. We say like, oh, he's not vibing with Jokic. He's still more vibing with Jokic than the new players. Even include I would include Bruce Brown. Like they get each other, but still MPJ has been a part of this team for a longer time than any one of those guys, and I think like they still know each other, and I think like he'll get more and more comfortable. I think he'll find to love like that like he had the drive yesterday and then he just dumped it off to Gordon that it was trailing behind him. I think he'll start looking for those more and more when he starts playing. Like passing is contagious. We always talked about that, and we've seen him yesterday like pass up some shots, put ball down there to Jokic on the low post, and then again because there's always room for shots. So we can go on forever, but like I just it's so cool.
You mentioned his side dribble. I mean, his sidestep jumper. That's amazing, man. His balance on those sidestep shots. That's insanity.
Yeah.
I've never seen something like that before. So
he has like again like he has like such a pretty shot, but again like something that it's not like maybe like top up. I would be like, hey, learn this for like a newbie. But like as far as his footwork, I'm like, this is not textbook like quote on textbook feet, because he has like the weird like he has the one leg sometimes forward, looks like a fadeaway, but again because it's him and he's so good, like it doesn't matter. No, I saw that. I was following the stats. So Serbia was women volleyball won. They beat Brazil 3-0. So they're the back-to-back world champs.
That's an amazing team, and people, if you haven't watched women's volleyball ever, it's maybe
awesome.
the most beautiful sport out there. I mean, it's not as intense as NBA basketball, but man, women's volleyball is just
it's awesome.
chef's kiss. Yeah. Okay, now we will move to the fan question of the week.
Thank you. Do you have so the question that could be like a mountain lion? Will Jamal play in the season opener?
Yeah, let's make it short.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I mean, he's hurt and he's we can call him like injured. He's more like probably just precautionary, sore and like tight and stuff. That's probably like the worst thing that happened this preseason. Just like because you wanted him to be fully ready, but it's like we understand that he can be, but you still hope he could be, and it just is going to take some time. I don't know if he plays. I think he will, just to try. But I would also like how this was going. I wouldn't even be shocked if they're like, "Hey, we have like 3 games, 2 on the road in like 4 days. Maybe not. Like from Wednesday to Saturday, like you play one of them. Maybe play a home opener on Saturday and just skip the first 2 because it's Utah and then Golden State." Because I would really not want him to see him get like more seriously hurt again in Golden State, like that away game. So that's like the worst thing. So otherwise, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can even say it was kind of expected to happen,
Yeah.
When you come from the long injury and
like
you still probably have some kind of precaution on your right leg, and then you hurt your left leg because of some kind of compensation you're making on the court. So hopefully it will just finish with this, and we'll see Jamal be able to step up his game slowly throughout this season, and hopefully we'll get the top level Jamal for the playoffs. For sure. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think this is going to come off the bench. Like that's no way.
No way, Jose.
Nor you should.
That's Jose Alvarado, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go to the fan question of the week, we'll make a short break. All right, we're back for the Serbian corner. I always wanted to say that, man. I'm such a big fan of Matt Moore. I love when he says that on the Locked On Nuggets. So, welcome back to the Serbian corner. Right now, we're going to the fan question of the week. And for this week, we have a couple of questions to answer. Let me just move this banner away so we can see it better. First off, Slađan Osmanagić asked, do you guys think that the Nuggets really could be a top 5 defense? And what about a 9-man rotation? Stagger MPJ with Bruce Brown, Bones, Davon, and Zeke at the 5. We kind of answered that last week about the stagger. What about the top 5 defense?
Yes, I think so. I think they have the weapons to do it. It just, again, like mashing at the beginning, but in short, I think they will. What do you think would be the key to it? Like, do you think the rotations? Because I don't know. It's always strange. I have to. It's kind of hard. Like, you would have to go back and like really analyze in depth, and we don't have really time to do that in personal lives. But just like how much, what he says, staggering and shorter rotations influence your top defensive productivity. Because again, if it's Jokic had those big plus minus numbers in those swings, if they are staggering and like keeping up the tempo through every game, and don't have like hockey subs, does that affect your defense? Because every lineup kind of needs a couple of possessions to get used to the court. What if you don't have that clean break between 5 man out, 5 man in? How does that affect your defense? I think they can, and I think it's some rotational situation when you're like bringing in strategically players that are your key defensive guys and putting them back in, in and out of the lineups. Like, I think that's the key, and I think they have weapons. I mean, even Ish Smith was like really. There's a play against Phoenix, man. Like, he had contested. He rotated from the corner, contested like the taller guy basically at the rim, like, but he wasn't like trying to dunk. He was like going for a layup. Ish was there, kind of surprised him. He kicked it out in the corner. He kicked it out in the 45 degree, and then it was the corner. And by the time that ball swung around, Ish was there to contest, like ran back, like sprint. It was awesome. Like, it was such good awareness. So even he as a guard, even though he's small, like has that quickness to like affect defenses. So I think that definitely, I think we can, and it'll be fun to do. That's we had in our Nuggets Serbia show earlier. We were picking like the sweetest scenarios for the season. Like, and I picked that I would really love it if like above everything else for top 5 defense to happen.
I agree. It is possible, and this is the way it would happen if it happened. So I don't think they will be more than like top 12, top 15 defense in the first month or even 2 months, because they still need to get the connectness between the players who are playing for the first time together. So I don't expect them to be great defense out of the gate, but by the New Year's, I can see them be like top 2 defense, like challenge teams like Boston or Philadelphia.
Okay.
So if you have this like the first portion of season that is pretty average, but then you have the atomic defense on the second half of the season, that could be a scenario that could bring Nuggets defense to top 5. Anyway, I mean, top 5 or top 7 of top 8, we're talking about the difference like half a point per 100 possessions. God, I mean, it's not such a great difference, but it would be awesome after some seasons to get a really, really good defensive performance from the Nuggets. Second question. Thank you, Slađan, for the first question. The second question from our homie Joshua. He asks, is there enough room for Jamal, Bruce, Bones, KCP, and Ish to get meaningful minutes each night? Ish seems too good not to play, but the other guards are also so good. I'll start with this one. I think it's undisputed that Ish should be playing from game one in the regular rotation. And one thing that made me even more sure of that was this last game against Golden State when they had a 3-minute stretch of playing small ball with Jeff at 5 and Michael Porter at 4, with Ish, Bones, and I think it was Christian Brown with them, and they played awesome. It was really good, and you can get away with that kind of lineup, against most defenses in the league. And I mean, it's tough because you really want Aaron Gordon to play next to Nikola Jokic. I'm so sad that NBA game is 48 minutes long, because if it was 40, you could just use Aaron Gordon like you use Lucic and Kalinic in EuroLeague, play them 40 minutes every game. So if you could have Aaron at 5 and Michael Porter at 4, I think that would be atomic. That would be
that'd be nuts. Yeah.
Really good. But I don't think that's possible.
Yeah,
but
and it's
even
hard.
with Jeff, it was really good. It was really good with Jeff. And
with that, I would say it's kind of tricky because Jeff obviously is better than Zeke, and it's because then you in that certain lineups, I think we would put a lot of wear and tear on Jeff for not for a few minutes a game, but like if that actually becomes like a part of a like similar rotation with the small ball, because I really thought it was going to be Zeke and Jeff small ball, but I didn't know like who's going to be the 5 until like we've seen Zeke like actually play at the 5. I think there is enough room because again we're talking about you have Jamal and KCP already in the starting lineup. Bruce Brown, we've seen him go like up and down the depth chart of rotation, so it can go if he's your 3, small forward. It's basically you're getting a 3-guard lineup that you had with what Malone was trying with. I think was it Facu Monte, and who was on the bench then? I can't remember that.
Austin Rivers?
No, it wasn't that year. Like it was someone. Maybe it was Austin. Yeah, it was that. So, but it's a different. Obviously, it's different. But Bruce is not a typical guard. He's like a practical guard, and then Ish and Bones work together. And Bones is not it's not like a limited point guard. Like he actually is like a deadly shooter, so you can't leave him. So there is an avenue, and it is tricky. Like I'm really like back and forth with. We will have to see. I think there's going to be more of those lineups. So like first half we see, maybe Reed plays just because they're traditional, because he's going to be on the 3 playing defense, or Bruce Brown, either one of those. And then if that doesn't work as well, like if the flow of the ball isn't as well, then maybe like he tries Ish Smith in the second half, and then we see. And if the trend is every time Ish and Bose play together, it is like good and the flow is better and we're scoring a lot more, then we can see that happening. So like basically Reed is there as a dangler of like the funny thing is like he didn't really do anything to like warrant him not being in the rotation. But as like a flashy thing that was like probably more impactful was Ish just play better. Again, there's a question of is the plus minuses that Ish did that Ish had and his effectiveness was because he played as a third stringer with these guys. Again, it's like not completely black and white. There's minutes that he played with against the Warriors that actually worked, and then there's minutes that he played against bad lineups and then he was torching them. So again, it's not as clear cut. We have a luxury of having again like decent enough players that warrant some playing time. So it'll be fun to see either way.
I agree. Ish was such a great surprise to me. It's really cool to see he's not only the Nuggets killer, he can be anybody's killer, and that's pretty awesome. And he was considered just a throw-in in that trade for KCP. But man, if you can play both of those guys, that's just awesome. Okay,
and it was a throw-in for us, like for fans, and I'm probably who knows what they were when they were doing the trade. Like he might not have been. Maybe they were asking for him. Like, hey, what was Monte? Like, let's have at least the Ish. Like, they offered someone else, and then it was like, oh, let's not actually give me Ish and KCP. So that's fun.
So thank you, Monte, for making this possible. Thank you, Monte, for being a great soldier.
Depressing.
What you gonna do? I know. I don't know if you remember, it was like 6 months ago we spoke about how many guys Nikola Jokic has been playing with for these 8 seasons in the Nuggets, and that's like 90 players.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean that's counting Ray John Tuckers and other guys from the era. But anyway, it's such a big flow of players, and that's just the way the NBA works. Okay, instead of Nuggets stat of the week, because we don't have anything meaningful, especially from the last. I'm not even sure that we have an official box score from the last game because
Yeah, we do
it was
now, but
completely. We do now.
yeah.
Okay, I haven't checked it. I was playing basketball for the last 3 hours, so I haven't logged on in that period. Instead of that, we'll give you our Western Conference's locks. So, which teams do we think are locks for certain things this season in the West? Let's start with the most fun thing. Which teams are locks to be tanking teams? Which teams are locks not to be in competition even for the play-in tournament?
You want me to start?
Yeah, let's start with that. So we can theoretically have 5 teams if we're completely sure about 5 teams not competing for playing. But
No, I
I'm
think it's gonna be more if because I'll tell you. So I did a preview of the whole season again. We talked about last week on the Nugget Serbia channel with one of our guys, and we did like over unders at that point when we were putting these shows together, and then the whole basically predicting the wins and the standings. So I have like what I had is so bottom four is basically you have I have the Spurs, Jazz, Rockets, and Thunder going from the lowest to from lower to higher. So like Spurs 20 wins, Jazz 24, Rockets 26, and then like Thunder 32 because I just don't know how they can tank it again that much. And then the next one would be like Kings or Lakers for me. And I wish I flipped him, but like I have Kings at 37, Lakers in 39, and I might have overdone it for him, but like we'll see. Which I was always expecting the trade, so that's what I'm saying. It's not 5 because I think like Kings are fighting for play and playoff, and actually it might be. I'm hoping they're even better than that. I hope they can jump Blazers and Lakers and have it make it more interesting. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're tanking teams. So these four are your like probably not as great to succeed or don't want to succeed in the Western Conference. Those are my locks for like the bottom four.
yes, I believe you're saying that because you're expecting Utah to trade away more guys, some really good veterans,
Yeah,
in
but
order
even if they don't, like,
to
I don't
help.
think this team's good even if they don't trade anyone.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
They're
Do you?
all who's gonna what? Okay, tell me like what's happening. What's with Utah?
I mean, yeah, I know. I guess you cannot count on Jordan Clarkson to be your main guy. I get that.
Sexton is there, but Sexton was a main guy on a lottery teams for a few years in Cleveland, and he was scoring 25s, and they were still in the lottery. Uh, Mike
What about
Conley's.
Markkanen?
Oh, come on, like I'm not. I mean, again, like he can pull me back on the FIBA competitions, but I'm not giving him like anchor of a team for that wants to compete for a play-in.
Right now, as the teams are constructed, I give them edge over the Lakers.
Oh, come on.
And I don't know, man. I just don't trust they will have like 60
I
games
just
of
I mean, just
LeBron and KD
LeBron
playing
is.
together.
I
No,
know,
no, I
but just
agree with that.
LeBron
But
is
how
better than
many
Utah.
games have we played for last 2 seasons?
Doesn't matter. You play 60 games, they're still better than Utah. If Utah plays 82 games, like
Sure.
as
Just to be completely frank, I agree on the 4 teams that are actually the bottom feeders, and I agree that all of the Sacramento and the Lakers and Portland, they all will be trying, at least for the first half of the season, to compete at least for the play-in position. Okay, let's now move to the locks for the playoff. So top 6 positions. I don't want any of those horrible play-in teams in this locks
okay. Do you
group.
want me to go first or you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did have the Nuggets at 1, both like objectively and subjectively. I have them 57, Golden State at 54, and I have Minnesota at 50 at 3. So that was like my big surprise. And then a Phoenix at 4, 49, and then Clippers at 40 at 5 at 49. And that was like, and then Memphis at 6 for 48. And again, Memphis have their weird like tendency to just beat people with whatever they put out, but that was last year, and JJJ is not playing, and they lost Kyle Anderson and Melton. As much as he was like one of the role players, but still, the surprise there is again they can probably flip places. Is for me is Minnesota and Clippers are like 3 and 5. I just thought like Gobert is your regular season, like he brings a lot of wins, and then also Clippers. I have no idea if they'll care, and that's like that's again Ray said like for Utah and Bambama for Clippers, like that's why I put them at 5 because I have no idea what how their season is going to shape up, like how many games they're going to play, and if they care to go attack like top 4
Yeah,
or
I
they're
don't think they're a
enjoy it.
lock. I don't think they're a lock for top 6.
Really? I
The
mean,
Clippers. I
okay,
mean, their
that's crazy.
season can get derailed really fast. I don't know.
But they have such. I mean, even last year they were like so bereft of talent, and they made a trade in the middle of the season, and still were like, if they're old playoff standings, they would have been in. But yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, I have them in. I can't have there's again too deep and too good of a coach. They're Dallas and Pelicans are 7-8 for me, and that's the thing is like that's 6 through 9, 6 to 8. Like you can have those like jumbled up like, but again these are my locks. Like I'm having Memphis at 6, Clippers at 5, Phoenix at
Oh,
4.
you want to put 6 locks?
But no, but you said who's up your playoff teams?
No, I want to see who are your locks
Oh,
that
sorry.
you
Okay,
you you
okay.
don't see any chance of not being the top 6.
Um,
That's different, because for instance, I think there's more probability for Dallas to be a top 6 team than the Clippers, because I don't see Dallas falling out of top 6 because of Luka, and I just don't trust that Kawhi will ever play more than 40 games in a season. It's
but even
just it's
without
just
him, I
my
think they have
it's
enough.
just my subjective,
No, no, that's fair. That's fair. He doesn't play, but like again, I'm counting for last year. So last year Dallas was around, I think, those it was in the 52 games. So Brunson is a big loss for me there, and then Nuggets and Timberwolves and Clippers are all better than last year, and so I think that's what basically that's what makes it up. And I again, Luca can get hurt, and again, if he's just doing it by himself all the years, all the season, like I'm not that interested. Okay, but if you're going with the locks thing, like I'll go Nuggets, I'll go Warriors, I'll go Clippers, and I'll go Memphis for the locks. Like I put Minnesota at like 3rd seed because I'm predicting it, but they might implode and that might not work. Like their 2 towers might not work, so they might be out to play in. So there's my 4 locks, I guess. 5,
Yeah, that's interesting because
4.
my locks are the Nuggets, Warriors, Mavericks, and Minnesota. To be
Okay,
honest,
so you don't have
I'm
you
really
don't
high
have
on
Phoenix and
Minnesota.
Clippers. Okay, fair.
Phoenix, I can see them imploding. I mean, I don't expect them to implode, but I can see
Sure.
a scenario for that. Same as with the Clippers and Memphis. I don't know, man. I don't know how much this Triple J absence will cost them at the beginning of the season. So I'm not sure about them either. I mean, top 6 is a pretty
Yeah.
tall task. I mean, you can have one guy out of rotation. I mean, for instance, even if the Nuggets would lose Jamal for like 40 games this season for different reasons, like 3 games here, 5 games there, I would still feel pretty optimistic about them being a top 4 seed.
Well, yeah, that's
But
because again, because it's a different Jokic is a different breed, and
yeah,
we've seen them be that good without Jamal. So I can
yeah,
see that again as a lot of other players. But if it's only Jamal getting hurt, but if you
yeah,
couple
sure,
that
sure,
with
absolutely.
other people missing time, then it's a different story.
Absolutely. Okay, one more interesting. Which team that you think that can go to the playoffs has zero chance of moving into the second round? So
Oh,
that's like
this
a
is a fun one.
the middle tier of teams.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the thing is like there's such a loaded. Let's say I'm gonna say Blazers and Kings if they go
What?
into the first round. I think those are the ones that will not make it out of the first round. Everyone else, I don't see Memphis losing I can see them. That's things like zero chance. Like I see Memphis when they go in the
Sure.
playoffs, they can win. The Minnesota, Phoenix, like every one of those, like Clippers, Denver, Golden State. Like I don't really see a 0-0 chance for a lot of these teams. What about you?
I kind of see it for the
Lakers, I guess,
Lakers.
if they
For
go
the
by that.
Lakers.
Yeah, but I'm not. But those things like I don't even see them in the playoffs. Like that's
I
my
mean, they
the
could
play-in
sneak
maybe, but
in.
like
They could sneak in through the play-in. Just get the other team on the bad legs. It's a one game elimination, so everything is possible, I guess, in the play-in, unless they play against Memphis. Oh, actually not, because Big Val is no longer in Memphis, so Big Val is the master of. We haven't
well,
even mentioned New
he's
Orleans.
Pelicans.
Yeah,
Well, I
you haven't
have
even
him as
mentioned.
well. I have him as 8 because of just like not a they're not they weren't well in the playoffs, but like from the 8th seed, but
Yeah,
because they just from the perspective like they haven't played the full season, and again these are teams. It's such a loaded West. It's going to be so much fun watching because they're my second team to watch this
yeah.
year, and I have them at 8 because of just hey there's some continuity with other teams a little bit more than New Orleans, but I mean honestly I could see New Orleans being like hey like Memphis last year or like the Nuggets in 2018, just fresh team, like you don't know much about them, so like they're even the ones like surprising themselves with some of the good plays. Coach is great. I love Willie Green. Could be coach of the year in like a few years, maybe if they do like a big jump even next year. So there's a lot of cool stuff with them. And but again, there's again such a loaded West. Like I could see them going through the first round easily, even if they're 8th seed. And so that was because Dallas and Pelicans were my 7 and 8, and that was again like, it was like who else am I gonna put like it was so hard to get separate that the whole like West conference, even East, but like it's crazy. I mean, my Kings are 11th, and the only reason I said like I even said that I said that in Nugget Serbia pod, I was like the only reason I have Kings this low is because I think someone's going to do a favor to the Lakers and trade some stuff that they're going to help him. And then second of all, it's because it's the Kings. If you give me a blind roster for the Kings and, all 30 teams and you have a Kings roster and I don't know it's the Kings, I'll be like, oh, this is a fun one. I like this for the playoffs. But because they're the Kings, I'm kind of still like, I want to wait and see kind of.
Yeah, when you mentioned that the New Orleans, I think they're a very interesting team because although I have them like in the third tier of Western teams, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they upset somebody in the first round of
Exactly.
playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see them beating Golden State. I can see them beating Denver. To be honest, if Zion goes insane, I mean, I think it's less possible for the Nuggets for some reason, but it's an interesting team. It's not a team that's good enough to win like 3 consecutive playoff rounds for sure, but 1 round upset, absolutely. Okay, and let's finish off this episode with a quick Nuggets NBA trivia. Every other week, we'll alternate between Nuggets and general NBA trivia, and we'll ask the live audience to participate in it, basically to help Voja with some stuff here. So it's time for the general NBA trivia, and let's list the 9 players that have played at least 50 games last season and generated 3.5 or more turnovers per game. So we are looking for 9 guys that are turning the ball over the most in the NBA.
More than 50. Okay, let's go with Westbrook.
Yes, Westbrook is a really good guess. He's a guy that has the ball in his hands a lot, and he's not really careful with it. So yeah, Westbrook is number
3.5 per
actually,
game.
No, he has 3.8. He's not even in the top. Let's see.
Wow, that's crazy.
1, 2, 3. He's 4th in this list.
Oh wow,
Russell Westbrook. 3.8.
I mean, let's go Jokic. I don't know if he's more.
Yes, Jokic
is
is actually tied with Russell Westbrook with 3.8
there's more
turnover per game. Interesting thing about it, Russell Westbrook true shooting percentage 51%, Nikola Jokic 66%. So a slight difference
yeah.
between these two guys.
Let's go with Luka.
Luka is a very good guess. He is actually number 1 in the league with 4.5 turnovers. But since he's handling the ball
Yeah, it's
for
too much.
for like 80 possessions per game, that's not very surprising.
Yeah, let's go Trae Young.
Trae Young is a really good guess, and he's number 3 on this list with 4 turnovers.
So I
per
have
game.
the number 2 only left, right? No.
Yes.
So how many?
Yeah.
Am I guessing?
You have number 1, you have number 3,
3.
and then you have 2 guys who are splitting number 4 positions. So you guess
So
4
one
guys,
more
5
name?
left.
Oh, 5 left.
5 left. 9
Wow,
guys I
there's a
want
lot
to
of.
see.
Okay.
Please, people, help Voya.
Let's see. CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum is not on the list. That's your first personal foul.
Harden.
You get 2 more. James Harden, interestingly enough, is not on this list. I believe he is number 10 on this list, but he doesn't have 3.5.
Oh,
No, sorry. I made a mistake. Oh, this is a horrible mistake. James Harden is number 2 on this list with 4.4.
Okay, what the hell? Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
My mistake. You got 5 guys. You
5 guys.
still need 4 more guys.
I'm trying to see
all
who
of them are
handles-
bottom feeders on this list.
Yeah, I'm trying to
You
see
got
who,
the top 5.
who handles the ball in those nuances. Let's see, Kevin Porter Jr.
That's a really interesting guess. No, he's not on the list. That's your first personal foul.
Second.
You have
Oh no,
first,
because it's Harden.
Yeah, first. You have 2 more misses left.
I mean, 2.5
Allowed.
a game. Steph.
No.
Wow,
No,
that's awesome.
Steph
Oh yeah, I
is
guess.
not on this
Well,
list.
actually, Draymond.
Draymond is also not on this list.
Oh wow, man, their Warriors are good with that, I guess. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to who's playing. Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell is not on the list.
Wow.
Okay. We
Wait,
have
there is Garland. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Garland is.
crazy.
Yeah, Garland
Garland
is
is,
on the
okay.
list. Garland is on the list. He's 3.6. The guys you've missed are Cade Cunningham with 3.7, which makes sense.
I was going that direction now.
Yeah. And then you've missed LeBron James with 3.5.
Okay.
He just made the cut. Kevin Durant also 3.5. That's a bit surprising.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't expect him to. Yeah.
He's not really a ball handler. And that's it. That's the whole list.
Okay, so how much? I made like 6 out of those 10, or how many did I make? Luka, Harden,
5
Jokic,
or 6.
Trae, Westbrook, Garland. Is that it?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here's the list. So you can see the 9 guys, and I sorted them by the true shooting percentage, which made me laugh. When you Cade is the only one that's worse than Russell Westbrook, but he was a rookie, so that's good. And all the other guys actually have a pretty good true shooting. Even Luka with 57%, that's pretty admirable.
Yeah, my next would have been one of those, the Cade or someone like from Orlando or someone. But yeah, nice. That's a good one.
Interesting thing about this list, one guy that didn't make the cut only because he played less than 50 games is Paul George. Paul George also had like 3.5.
Yeah, less games. Yeah.
Interesting. If nothing better than that, Raymond had a pretty good guess with Jalen Suggs. I like that guess as well. Okay, thank you guys for hanging out with us in this beautiful Saturday evening in Serbia and day in the US. Have a great rest of the weekend and have a great week after that before we meet again next weekend. And before we go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets. Idemo Nuggets.